Welcome back to Stall Talk, all you Stall Talk babes. I'm Jenilee Harrison, and this is
Cassandra Wilkins. Welcome back to Stall Talk, the place where we feel comfortable to be our true selves just how we are in the bathroom stall.
And we have a fabulous guest coming up. This gal, she's so sweet, so down to earth, and really smart, where she teaches us to be successful. All you have to do is be present, positive, and pragmatic. Stay tuned. Ooh, come on in.
Let's get down and dirty.
The totally unfiltered, honest.
Up to my brain.
I love your brain.
Stall Talk.
Stall Talk.
Y'all ready? Stall Talk is brought to you in part by Cura, high-quality hair extensions. Jenilee, there is so much going on in the news right now. Do you remember our good old friend Miley Cyrus?
Oh, I love her. Yeah.
I do too.
Huge fan.
Grew up on her Hannah Montana, her music, her CDs, all of it. I even had a Hannah Montana guitar.
You did?
I did. I don't know how to play any instruments, but like it was Hannah Montana, so I wanted it for Christmas.
Oh, and did you ever play it?
No. I tried, but like it was very cutesy.
I'm saying, so you looked good.
Yeah, I'm like, it was cute. I don't know if you remember in 2009 when she performed at the Teen Choice Awards. It was Party in the U.S.A.
I love that song.
I
Yes,
do.
I do.
Do you remember any of the backlash from the performance?
I do know this story, but go ahead. You tell.
Well, basically, I was little when it happened, when the backlash happened. So I figured you probably remember more of it. But I was seeing recently in the news how in the performance, she was like on an ice cream truck, which had a pole on it. And there was a ton of controversy about that. And now it came out that her mom was actually like the person who thought of that idea. And who gets blamed? The kid, of course.
But, well, yeah, I will say I'm very... have a tremendous amount of honor, respectability towards her and her mom, and what her mom has created for her family. And I remember that controversy, which is very funny in hindsight, because Miley came out and said years later, 'cause she was so young, that the reason why there was a pole there, she wasn't pole dancing.
I didn't think she was at all either.
No, because she had to jump on top of this ice cream truck, and her mom came up with the idea that she needs something to hold on to, so they put a pole there that she could just hold on to it so she wouldn't splat on the stage.
I completely agree.
You
I
know?
went back and like rewatched it, and I was like, to me, at least personally, I didn't really find it inappropriate at all. I thought it was super cute and like her age, but I feel like media just like likes to find a reason to be upset or have a villain or something.
Don't they? See, that's the whole thing about the media is that if there's not controversy, then there's nothing to talk about, right?
Exactly.
But even her mom was the one that even said, well, we came from the trailer parks.
Yeah.
So she was the one that had the trailer there. And then she said, and we love ice cream. But what a career she's had.
She
And her
has.
mom, again, Tish, she's like Kris Jenner. Those women, they're extremely well-versed businesswomen. So you have to, hats off to them.
I agree.
And she with their mom, from everything that I've read, they have a tremendous relationship. So, and that even goes back to women in business that, if that was a dad, think about that.
What?
If that was a dad and he had a son that was doing something, would there be such controversy? I bet you not.
I think it's because women are more sexualized than men.
See? It's like and women, I think we're so much better in business oftentimes because we're more vulnerable, we're more compassionate, we're just as smart. And I really do think that women are stronger than men. Come on. I don't
think that we have certain strengths over men or that they have certain strengths over us. I think that we all have different strengths within ourselves.
Yes, but I will say that even though I love my cowboy stuff, I think women internally are much stronger because when women are the men, yes, men physically are stronger, but women have to juggle, I think, so many more hats, right? Even again, getting back to even women in business, that not only getting back to Miley's mom, Tish, she's a manager, and she's on that show. She was a production manager, a manager. She's watching the business of her kids, and kids plural. But then she's also the mom. So when the kids are getting sick, when they need to be fed, and all that, generally speaking, the woman is juggling all those hats.
I agree, but I feel like this is also one we disagree on.
I know, you know why?
I agree 100%, but my dad is like, he's always been that person for me too. So I'm like, I feel like they can both do it. Maybe more traditionally or typically it is the woman. Right. But I'm like, I feel like it could be both.
You know what? And we've mentioned him a few times, but Cass's dad, Smiley, it is unusual, and you're so very lucky though too that you do have a dad that's so involved in your life.
So like both of my parents are great, and I also have stepdad too, so it's like I was blessed with lots of parents.
That's good. We make up our own family, right? Oftentimes, they say you're not born into a family, maybe you create one too.
Yes, especially being out here, like moving out to LA, and now that I live in Long Beach, I have the best group of like the most supportive friends, and they're my family.
From because you were raised in a small town.
Yes.
You always talk about your small town.
Yes, my very little small town.
Was that hard, leaving a small town and coming to quote a big town?
That's a good question.
I've never asked you that.
To be honest, it was harder for me going from my small town. It's called Lompoc, and then my first 2 years of college I went to Santa Barbara City College. That was so much harder for me moving 30 minutes away at like 17 than it was going from Santa Barbara to LA.
Now, why was that?
I think it just had to do with like my age and the first time moving out, because that was the very first time like I moved out away from my parents. I was 17 when I graduated and left. But so I had my 3 years in Santa Barbara. So once it came to moving to LA, it was so much easier. First, because I had already been like 3 years out of not living at home. So I like got through all of those transitions. And also my best friend Kayla, she moved with me.
Oh, fabulous.
So we moved together.
So you had a support system.
Exactly. So it's like I didn't come here alone, but what made the biggest difference for me, honestly, was I joined a sorority once I came here. That was like one of the biggest differences for me, just being in like around so many strong, powerful women just really kept me motivated and gave me such a great support system.
And I touche that, because I went to Occidental my first year, and then I transferred over and I was at SC, and I joined a sorority. And yeah, because in a sorority you're surrounded by all these young women, and also in the sorority we had mentors. We had like what was she called?
Like alumni?
We had the alumni, but we had like the dorm mom and everything.
Oh, the house mom.
The house mom. And so, yeah, I got to learn a lot about even how to conduct myself even out there in life with business and everything else by watching these women. And in the sorority, we would oftentimes have people come in and speak to us.
We did that too.
Right. And see,
there'd be like counselors or like even like financial information, like drug and alcohol, all of the above. It was so nice to be able to have those resources.
Right. So a lot of resources, and that's what people
I love that the tradition continued.
See, there you go. Yeah, I think it's so important that again, surround yourselves with positive people, right? Feeling good about yourself. And even with our upcoming guest, I know she talks a lot about being positive, surrounding yourself with positivity, and you have to reach inside your gut and get those people, those smart people around you, right, that help you to dream big.
I'm so excited for this guest.
Me too. Oh my gosh. So yeah, stay tuned. We're coming back. It's going to be a good one.
We are here with Miss Sophie Azam, who is the founder of Skills4Startups, which is the UK's first mobile business school, whose innovative roadshow is now coming to the US to inspire entrepreneurs and transform lives in underrepresented regions. Sophie, welcome to Stall Talk.
Thank you so much for having me. What a delightful podcast you have here. I've been watching you religiously. I think we need a stall talk in the UK.
I know. I feel like we should come visit you.
I think so. You can come and stay at my house.
Oh, I would love that. I know. I miss London deeply.
I know you do.
So Sophie, I would absolutely love a little bit more about really what was the catalyst for you to start Skills for Startups?
I think the catalyst for me was empowering women. I think as a woman who aspires to be financially free, I think I'm a big believer that if you have a dream, if you have an idea, why not start a business? Why not gain that mentorship or that ecosystem to help and support you with your journey? And I think one of the things that actually pushed Skills for Startups was the lack of, should we say, backing and support for female entrepreneurs in the United Kingdom and probably across many other countries. And I think for me, it's that fact doesn't sit well, and I want to disrupt the market. And I think Skills for Startups, that is now becoming quite revolutionary in the UK, is now starting to challenge at the government level and at the society level. Why isn't there more capital or investment in female entrepreneurship, female ideas, female innovation and creativity? And I think that is probably at the core of Skills for Startups. It's that, should we say, desperate plea to recognize more fantastic female business owners.
What would you say some of the differences are in the UK versus the landscape in the US when it comes to entrepreneurship?
I think entrepreneurship in the UK is there is a degree of I don't know, shyness or underconfidence. I think maybe it's underconfidence in the UK. I think our sales strategy is slightly different from the United States of America. It's almost like in the USA, although you do have that death rate of 98% of startups failing, you take the risks to invest. You take the risk to actually launch the idea. It's that confidence that the USA has that I think we need to bring into the UK. We don't have a British dream. You have an American dream, and that underpins entrepreneurship. So, the moment you're probably born, your parents or your family system nurtures you to really aspire to be somebody, and that's the US culture. And sometimes, certainly in my culture, which isn't just British, it's Southeast Asian. So my parents are immigrants who came to Britain for a better life. Where it's actually essentially injected in us that as women we have to take a back seat and be humble. So and that I think creeps into, okay, should I start an idea? Should I launch a business idea? I mean, do I have a right to be a business owner? I am diverse. Or should I just be put in a box? And I think that's very important that we learn from the United States of America around that it's okay to have that passion and compassion and be forthright and have that sort of energy to sell. In the United States of America, you have this concept where you see kids that are actually learning to sell things. And one of the things we've picked up from our research is the lemonade stand model, where kids are probably raising money for, I don't know, maybe a charity, and they're encouraged to sell. They're already encouraged at 6, 7 to stand on the street with their parents supervising, turning lemons into lemonade and selling lemonade and learning about mathematics around the cost and the profit. So they're already building that entrepreneurship, energy and that drive to perhaps do bigger things. And that for me, a little task like selling lemonade on the streets with your parents supervising can trigger something in that child to think, well, actually, I've made quite a bit of pocket money here, or made quite a bit of money for charity here. maybe I want to do it as a living. Maybe I want to start a business in a few years' time. And I think that's what we should be encouraging in the UK. It's okay to sell a product and not shy away from selling your products. It's okay to pursue profit. And it's okay to be to have that goal that you want to be financially free, which is a little bit more natural in the USA. It's almost like it's innate in your DNA that it's okay to want that.
This really speaks to me right now, and I agree. Specifically for me, like I grew up in a household where my mom and my dad are both entrepreneurs. So for me growing up, that was like all I knew.
Yeah.
And I went into corporate. I was like the one that was paving the
Yeah.
way, being the oldest child in my family. And my parents would like not fully like get all of the lingo or the language I was
Yeah.
saying because they've been entrepreneurs. So 100% I am so grateful for that experience. But it is true. Like a lot of my friends in the US do have parents who are entrepreneurs. So it's almost like second nature for
Yeah.
us. How do you think that universities can better prepare students for entrepreneurship? Because I know we were
Yeah.
talking about young children, but
Yeah.
I do think universities can probably do a much better job of creating that freedom to
Yeah.
explore some of those
Yeah,
ideals.
I think that's such a great question because I have to say that when we started out with the actual blueprint of Skills for Startups, it was
Mhm.
almost an initiative, then a limited company. Universities were scared because we were highlighting something that was quite terrifying because they do academia and the theory of business principles and so on and so forth. When we were presenting the solutions that have happened already with other business leaders and their mistakes and what practical solutions they use to overcome their mistakes, it was a little bit alien to them because there's a massive gap between what you learn at university and the reality of launching a business. And that's the gap that Skills for Startups is saying they're bridging. So we've capitalized on that gap and we take the academia because we understand the academia.
Mm.
And then we take these massive business leaders who enter come onto our road shows and our programs, and they enter the ecosystem and they put on these shows on our behalf. And they actually teach these young entrepreneurs and also adult startup founders as well that this is how they set up their business. These were their pitfalls. These were their pressure points, what they faced. It could have taken them 2 years to get their first client. The reality of the situation of that, there is no sort of there's no romance here of you launch an idea, somebody's going to want you or want that idea, and you're going to become a multimillionaire in 6 months. They teach you the reality of perhaps what the universities won't, because they stick to a particular curriculum, and it really is about hitting those targets within those topics or modules that you're covering within that university system. But we're actually bringing these individuals out of the schooling system or the classroom system at university into this one-day roadshow to teach them, okay, here's a gentleman here or a lady here. They're both business leaders. They've been going for 5 or 6 or 7 years. It's probably their third startup because they failed their first 2 startups. And it's like shock, horror in the audience. They failed their first 2 startups. That's scary, But they're teaching them the mistakes that they shouldn't be making, which, by the way, you're not taught that at university because you're not built your business at university.
Wow. I really love how you're teaching almost like the life skills for these students because that is so needed. I mean, even thinking about my, career in school, there was only one program that I was a part of called TMP, which was like the technological management program. But it wasn't even a minor. It was just an extra program that I added to my degree. And that was like the one area in school where I had some sort of exposure to entrepreneurship and working with my other classmates to come up with ideas and pitches and actually getting out there and doing things and practicing those skills. So love what you are building. So Sophie, I know that you started working for the government sector in the UK. And what were some of the observations that you picked up working for the government that led you into being an entrepreneur?
Often we found that apprenticeships or vocational learning became quite secondary to academia. And it was that really got me thinking that actually I don't fit in the civil service anymore. I never did. because of my background is alternative education. I use, I'm more creative, I'm more practical than mathematical or statistical, although that has now improved in later life. I do use a lot of stats and data, and I did go on to university and achieve 2 degrees, but that was a bit of a struggle for me because I'm dyslexic. I'm on the spectrum for neurodiversity, so I was slightly different when I was working in the government, when I was looking at education and conducting regulation over qualifications. I saw things a little bit differently. I thought that some of the products that we were approving really didn't test the complete student's ability. And in my opinion, I think alternative assessment or going out practically learning is more beneficial for students and learners than the traditional academia. Now we've gone through traditional academia because it's almost like your default position is to do that, to go to university. But none of the skills I was taught in political science, which is what I did, is actually that beneficial with what I'm doing. I had to retrain myself into entrepreneurship. I had to pick it up through reading books from Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Richard Branson. I learned more about how to handle my business, how to safeguard my companies through the reality of how they've conducted themselves as entrepreneurs than any university education. So that should really tell you something about the gap there between the two schools of thought. One is some learners just learn through creativity on their own, through trial and error and practical solutions. They just won't pass an exam. And those who weren't passing exams are now better entrepreneurs. They are the best business owners that you will ever come across in the United Kingdom. They've not done well academically. They've not gone to university. And that's very important that we point that out, that your life isn't over because you don't have a university degree. Your life can start again. You just got to find your talent. And if your talent is entrepreneurship, then you can do it. Skills for Startups is here, and we're here as an ecosystem to support as many startups as possible.
Do you have any pieces of advice to leave with those people who are listening today, who are ready to just take that leap into entrepreneurship and really free fall into that? Like, what do they need to know?
So I think when you launch an idea, make sure you have sufficient funds, because you're not going to be making money immediately, but you're going to have that support from somebody who has given you a little bit of investment or endorsement to start to build that idea. And that gives you a little bit of confidence that you're not going to risk your own savings or your home or your livelihood. That's very important. I also think that map out your make sure your vision is always consistent but clear. Have your pitch deck ready when you require further investment, and understand a roadmap is very important. You will know at what point to do what you need to do to grow your business. And I think that roadmap it becomes your A to Z. It becomes your Bible. Follow it to the teeth so that you don't run out of money, because a critical point that we believe that the death rate takes place with startups is when they run out of money. Then they actually can't go any further. They have to go back to their 9-to-5 job. And I think it's very important that you are financially savvy. So you understand, if you have a 3-year goal to get to where you want to get to, let's just say you have 3 years of building to get your first client, then you have to ration your funding across those 3 years, and you have to forecast. You have to understand budget management, cash flow is very important. And I think be commercially savvy. There are different ways you can resource yourselves without an investor. So if you're struggling to find an endorsement or a sponsor, or somebody that doesn't, maybe your idea isn't quite there, spend a bit more time reframing that idea and look for ways where you could actually fund the idea yourself. So many of our side hustlers have a part-time job, and that funds the hustle. And then that generates more income for their side hustle. And then it turns into a full-time hustle. and then it turns into a proper business. So that's another strategy we teach at our roadshows. And 2 of our businesses, we can openly say this now, they are self-funding.
I know with entrepreneurship, there comes many highs and lows. And I think especially when it's your business and something goes wrong, you feel it on such a spiritual and deep level because it's your baby and your vision. So how do you navigate through the highs and lows of being an entrepreneur?
So for me, my true north is a family member, which is my sister. And often when I want release or relief and time out, just to get away from the laptop and the hustle, she's the one who keeps me going. And you've got to have somebody. I mean, I'm not married. I don't have children. I am a proper strong woman, and I've made it this far on my own. So I needed my sister to be my backing and my backbone sometimes. Yeah. When it's hard to say no to clients or no to meetings, she's always been the one to say, you need to take time out on a Sunday. And I would encourage startup founders to have that true north that, keeps that sort of boundary between how they operate as business leaders and then how their personal life maps out. And many of us use our home to work now. We don't have offices, so it's difficult to switch off. Our home is our office.
Yeah.
So put the television on, watch the Sex and the City or Bridget Jones. Do something lighthearted and have a laugh. Go out to a pub or a club with your friends. Yeah. It's okay to take that break. You don't have to be consistently at it. I know it's difficult to stop sometimes because you want to make it. You're hungry. You've got bills to pay, a mortgage. Some of you may have children to feed, but you have to understand that if you burn out, the business is gone, and sadly, you will you'll become that statistic. You mustn't burn out, and you need to know what that boundary is.
I got the chills. Sophie, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I learned so much from you, and the world needs you. So thank you.
You just spoke with Sophie. That was amazing.
Yes, it was honestly very interesting for me to hear her experience just because I'm going into full-time entrepreneurship right now. So it was very, very relevant to me.
I know, gosh. And she was able to share a lot about how you can become your own entrepreneur, right?
100%.
And she was giving skills and yeah. What do you think about all that, Cass?
Honestly, this isn't really my wheelhouse. So I'm curious from you and like what your takes were and your perspective was, because I know this is something that you're really into.
Absolutely. I mean, thinking about my experience in college, I went to UC Santa Barbara, which I love that we're both SB girlies. And going to school, it was a very research and theory oriented school. So for me, at least my experience, I wasn't learning a lot of the skills that I'm using now. Even being in sales, pitching to Fortune 500 clients, to now starting my own company. I don't really know fully what I learned in college that applied to exactly what I'm doing right now. I know that it was
what
helpful.
Are the skills that then are different? Do you think that what are the best ones?
I think critical thinking outside of the box, public speaking, negotiating, taxes, there's so many things that I am navigating right now, even like how to sign up for unemployment. Not that they should be teaching this to you in school, but it's like there are so many things that you have to learn by yourself in adulthood that traditional education doesn't teach. And it's like, I don't know what we're doing most of the time and how it's applicable.
I think it's really interesting because you pay all this money to go to school and then you ended up feeling but what did I really learn? I personally kind of had the opposite experience because I didn't go to college to learn. I'm not going to lie. I just happened to learn while I was there because I went to college to go have fun. I wanted to join a sorority. I wanted to meet frat boys. I wanted to be outside. And I was like, what's a better way to not grow up? Go to college, have fun. But in order to stay in college, you have to have good grades. So
Totally.
that just happened to be like a really good benefit. And then I ended up learning journalism, and I love it now.
Yeah,
But,
look where you are, girlfriend.
I feel like I learned a whole lot while I was
Yeah.
in college.
Yeah.
Well, I think what we're talking about, those like life skills.
Yeah.
And, the way that I incorporated and learned that in my business is I really gravitated towards mentors, and I reached out and I got, so when I saw
using your
people
resources.
my resources, my resources are my sources are, you get that? Yeah. As she has a twinkle in her eye, but I'm thinking, but I mean, that whatever. And I would have many mentors because it depended on what I was doing, because all businesses too are run differently. And yet school, I think I'm one about, I always, Aunt Jenilee, I like to learn. So, I mean, life is an abundance of information out there.
Yeah.
And I think the more that you know, the more you could have in your vessel, you're only going to be better in all aspects of life is kind of my thinking.
Jenilee, I so agree. And I love to call like this part of my life, like my board of directors. And that's how I look at my mentors. And I think it's so important to have an abundance of different mentors for different things. Like you can't go to one person for everything because they're not going to know how to support you with making maybe a pitch deck, to supporting you with a breakup. So for me, it's really important to have like my emotional SWAT team, which are like mentors to help me through really difficult freaking emotional times that I'm going through one right now, versus mentors who are more for me to support me through my entrepreneurial journey. And I agree, Cass, like for me, school, I probably learned more in regards to the social skills, in regards to dating, in regards to finding who I am.
All of that.
And for me, like you said, Barbara, I was in Kappa, I was in a sorority, I had so much fun, I partied, I worked hard, I played hard. And I think it doesn't
My
mean
roommate
that,
was
you
in
know,
your sorority, actually.
Really?
Yes. You guys
Go
were probably
Kappa.
there during the same time.
wait, oh my God, I'll ask you after. I
The
love
camera,
that.
I'll give you the names.
But again, though, oh, excuse me, as
having a
my
ball.
pink ball gets kicked around here. But see, those are life skills,
Yes.
and those are really important. I mean, and so college. You say that you didn't go to learn, but those social interactions, and that's even what Sophie was saying. Is I thought it was so cute. She said with little kids, start them in the lemonade stands, and that's such a good thing. Is they learn like socialization. How do you get attention and get your product sold?
And
what
like
have
putting
you.
yourself out there and getting outside of your comfort zone. Like that is so important.
You have to have the confidence. You have to have the confidence. And like she said, you have to have the confidence. You have to be positive. But getting back to school, again, I think you still have to have the knowledge. You know,
Of
you can't go
course.
into things and think, oh, just my charming self, I'm going to get that gig or something, right?
I feel like so much that you learn from college, and this is what my uncle taught me, is so much of it that you learn is just the experience of going to college, like you were saying, and not even what you do in the classroom. It's like learning how to move out, learning how to deal with roommates, learning how to do your own laundry and buy your own groceries. And there's just so many other life things that you learn that you don't even learn in the classroom. It's just, I feel like when you go to college, you learn certain things that you don't learn when you don't go to college that doesn't even have to do with the classroom.
Absolutely. Like even like how you study best. Like for me, all of those skills that I developed, like studying for a massive test, like those are skills that I still use to this day.
Or like time management, how to deal with people, how to deal with getting in arguments with your roommates, or like sharing the washing machine or the shower, whatever it is. I feel like you learn so much of that in college.
And just like you were talking about that, I remember I always have flashbacks that Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
So, you know, studying for my finals and all that and going through. And so I still use that Cliff Note mentality when I need to go in and learn what we're doing today, or what I'm supposed to be saying, or what environment I'm in, you know?
Even like for when I'm trying to like, I don't know, memorize something or like an introduction for someone, like I'll always type it out. And that's what I did for like test taking in school. I would just like retype everything like again.
Gosh,
And I still do that to this
Y'all
day.
really studied in college?
Oh yeah.
Y'all were in them books?
Like 15 hours in the library, like a week for like a test.
Oh my! You spent time in the library?
Yeah, girl.
So I found out where the library was my senior year.
It's a hard school.
Because that's the spot where everybody would hang out on the top floor. If you go to Cal State Long Beach, you know what I'm talking about. Everybody in like Greek life, we all hang out at the top floor. That's where it wasn't quiet hours. And then I remember it was my last semester where I found out where the books were. They were on the bottom. Bottom floors. But this girl still got a degree, so you know what? I did it without the books or without the library.
Okay, so you passed.
Yes, I sure did. I paid attention in class. I just didn't spend my free time in the books. I spent my time in the classroom, made good grades, graduated. I graduated with a 3-something, so I did okay. I'm not Miss Smarty Pants. I've never been like top of my class. I've always been like good enough to like pass. But
Cass,
look at you.
Cass is street smart.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And it's not all about being book smart. Like,
yeah.
and they should be teaching emotional intelligence and interpersonal skills, which they don't.
Well, I love that you even, would you say something about your squad?
Oh, yeah, like my emotional SWAT team.
love that.
SWAT team. That is the
I
best.
love that term. That's so cute.
I know I'm going to use that.
Please use that.
Well, it does. I'm very big. It takes a village, right?
Oh, my God.
And here was Sophie was so coming from the UK.
I know.
And so this is the part, and Jenilee wants us to learn something new every day. So, Skylar, what did you learn from Sophie's interview?
There's so much bravery and courage to be an entrepreneur because you literally are diving into the deep end every single day, and time is money. And there's a certain energy and conviction that you have to be an entrepreneur. You're putting yourself on the line day in, day out, and some people just don't get it. And it's hard to explain it to the people who don't get it. So I think surrounding myself with people, even if they aren't an entrepreneur, they have a free spirit about them to at least like try to understand that. Anyways, that's just what I'm
that was a good one. That's
right
a good
now.
one. Cass, what did you learn?
I learned that there continues to be a lack in our education system, even when it comes to like high level university. I always felt like there was before college. I don't resonate with feeling like there is a lack of education in college. I feel like there is in like high school. I feel like a lot of things should have prepared me for like growing up and becoming an adult, because when you're in high school, like right when you graduate, you're like 17, 18, you have to do like jury duty, taxes. I still don't know how to do that stuff.
Same.
My dad would be like, you got to call in. And I'm like, what? So it's like, I feel like where we really lack personally for me was like high school and, you know, those early years, not the older years. But it's interesting to see how like we have different experiences when it comes to our education.
And Aunt Jenilee, my sister calls me Miss Pollyanna, but I just learned that even she, with all of her background, and she came out of the educational system and the government and all that, but she said the most important thing is be confident of yourself and reach deep down in there and just go for it and dream big and let no one hold you back. That's what I took from Sophie. I loved having her.
I needed to hear that today.
We all need to all the time. But thank you very much. What a wonderful interview. And right?
Yay.
Oh, it was
Thank
fabulous.
you for joining us, guys.
Yeah.
Great job. Trending up, trending down.
What?
Hey guys, welcome back to Trending Up and Trending Down with Stall Talk. As you guys know, one of my favorite shows of all time is The Sex Lives of College Girls. I don't know if you guys know, but the new season is out. I'm so curious what you guys think about it. I've watched the first episode. We know our Miss Girl, Renee Rapp, is leaving the show, unfortunately. Leighton was one of my favorite characters, so I'm so curious. What do you guys think about how it's going so far? That's it from me from Trending Up and Trending Down. Stall Talk is brought to you in part by Cura, high-quality hair extensions.
Thanks very much for watching us on Stall Talk, all you Stall Talk babes.
Like and subscribe and follow us for more.